Even though I know I'm good, I have to articulate to them how good I am and how good we are without being a jerk, right? Just to make sure I'm able to help guide them through that process.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Third part, this is important right now. I think this is kind of the apex of what I'm seeing people. When they come, they're angry, and they want to get out, or they're going with someone else, it comes down. The third C is competency. They got to know you're good, period. They got to know it, feel it, own it, that you're the good and you're the best, and that you're going to be able to drive them through the current marketplace right now. Because there's so much uncertainty, there's so much doubt, they're doubting you at a higher level as soon as you're walking into the door with them. And so the first part of that, right, starts with my message. Am I clear and concise at all times what my message is? Here's who I am, here's what I do, here's who we are, here's how we're navigating this current market to kick ass and give you an advantage. Every single communication I have has to lead with the message of competency. Even though I know I'm good, I have to articulate to them how good I am and how good we are without being a jerk, right? Just to make sure I'm able to help guide them through that process, right? Second piece of this competency is this. Data. How many people here right now can tell me the exact inventory for last month and the exact sales increase last month?
20-something% increase. We're down at 1.01.
You guys get my point? Right? Out of 20 plus people, 2 kind of got it. Right? And that wasn't with much certainty. And so 21%. The reality is you've got to make sure that I'm talking data as part of my message. Why? This is where high-level psychology comes in. If I'm weaving in the data into my message, I'm showing a higher level of expertise, which gives a level of what? Competency. And so I've got to be proactive in my message, talking a language that no one else is talking. Why is that? Because when they talk to the dumbass agent from Zillow, who they went online with, who's not talking the same data and information I am, I'm now differentiated at a higher level, and they're going to be more likely to stay with me and be loyal.
I think third-party stories can be
Dude,
data too.
you read my notes, bro.
Yeah.
Third part is stories. You've got to get very good at stories. Something we talked about, spent a lot of time with last week too. I've got to get very, very, very good at stories. And weaving the stories into my message so that they're seeing my what? Competency. I've got to be a very, very good storyteller. That's one lesson I learned that Garrett's very good at. You've got to be able to find a way to make the ordinary seem extraordinary through stories. Why? People's brains, right? I taught this a long time ago. People's brains run on loops. And so if I create a loop, which is also a story, their brain has no choice but to follow that story so they can do what? Close the loop. And so if I'm able to tell stories and layer in my data, third-party stories, and what's happening is that's how I have them follow along, and that's how I'm building in layers of competency by talking about third-party stories that I have and also that they've going to be able to experience or other people we have in the office. That's why Thursdays are so important, so you can take other people's stories, share that ability, and use that with your clients as you're able to go on. Now here's the thing. If you're a great storyteller as an agent, people are going to want to follow you and work with you. Why is that? Well, you have stories about things that are happening, that are going on, that you're seeing, right? This could be in the industry. Here's the deal. You don't got a whole lot of going on. What can you do? Read the news, right? Google real estate news. Go to CNBC.com. Look at real estate stuff. Look at the mortgage stuff, right? To have things to talk about, weave that story in, and more importantly, we have the stuff on Thursdays, the huddles, all this, right? Is for you guys to have abilities to add in more stories. My stories have one job to do. They got to lay the groundwork. And so strategically, I'm layering in my stories as pre-frames to layer in groundwork of what's going to happen next and how we're going to make moves based on what happens in that process. Now, if I'm just along for the ride, like a horse that's just a runaway horse and trying to hang on for my life, I'm not going to have the ability to dominate and guide. I'm going to be purely in reaction mode. So if I don't got my shit together, my schedule's not good, I'm not in a clear place of mind, my energy's not right, I'm not going to have the foresight and ability to layer this groundwork up front to really reduce any problems in the back end. Fourth part here is certainty, right? I must have this at all times, right? If I had to do this, I think that the way I originally had this word in here was package. The way I'm packaged has a way of pure competency. They're feeling me, they're seeing me, the way I dress, the way I show up, I'm on time, I'm early, all my together, and I'm here layered in so they have the energy and ability to come across and dominate that conversation at every single time. Some of you can watch the chaos going on in you, just in how you operate here, not in front of the client, and you can tell that you're just melting right in front of them. And you feel like you're doing some shit, but ultimately you're not because you don't have the competency when it's just you. Much less face-to-face with a client, with pressure, with your phone ringing, with everything else going on. And so this comes down to what's important. The way I really broke this down is this aspect here is you have to have and create an attractive character at all times. You got to create attractive character. Some of y'all aren't there yet. And so you got to take the time to craft that person and spend time working on it. But if you've been here for 3 months, 6 months, you haven't been through 100 Days of Greatness, haven't been through Jordan Belfort 6, 7 times, you don't have the drive to even make yourself in this attractive character, even though you're brand new. Some of y'all watching Netflix and all this other shit, but you haven't been through the 100 Days of Greatness yet. You're period. And so you got to make sure that you're creating this at all times. You could probably get away with it 3 years ago. You can't get away with that right now. If you're not an attractive character, they're getting all the best clients. Why? Because buyers are scrambling, sellers are scrambling right now to find the absolute best because the stakes are so high. Last one here, I've got to be a closer. Got to be a closer. First part of close, which is important. This is where everybody's lacking the most that I feel, is I got to lead. When it's chaotic and I'm buying the largest or I'm selling the largest asset that I own. I want somebody to lead. I gave you guys an example before about when I was looking at insurance. I wanted some insurance, I wanted great coverage, and the person's like, well, I don't know, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, that's what I'm calling you for. I want somebody who knows what they're doing, who can guide me and tell me what I need to do. I don't want the cheapest, I want the best, so I'm covered. But they didn't really understand that, and they didn't do what? They didn't lead. Second part, most important part here on top of that is I got to be a guide. It's we're missing a lot here, I think, when I was analyzing everything, is you got to be a guide. They want somebody who's going to lead them and tell them what's going to happen next. Here's where we're at. Here's what's happening next. So many times we're leaving a vacuum right now with our people. They're scrambling like a scrambled egg, just dancing everywhere until they find somebody else. Because you're leading that vacuum open. Oh no, here's what's going to happen. We're going to take that, we're going to turn. I got to where when I fly now, I type in the flight into FlightAware, and I can see their predefined flight pattern. I know exactly when they're going to turn. So when the dude does a crazy right turn, and we're sideways, guess what? I know we're supposed to do a right turn. When we fly over the ocean and do a straight U-turn back, I don't think we're trying to land real quick because there's a problem. I know we're going back inland. We just had to take off going into the wind. And once I know the guidance there and what's going to happen, now I know I'm just following the flight path with small changes if needed. But if I don't really have that and I don't talk about my people, I'm not guiding them to what the next steps are. Here's what's going to happen. Hey, look, we're going to have an appraisal. The appraisal may come in short right now. Why is that? Because the market's crazy. By the way, let me tell you this third-party story about my other clients who had the same problem, and here's how we're going to attack that once that does come up. Third piece right here, super important. So lead, guide. The third one is collide. I've got to kill their bullshit stories fast. We're letting this bullshit go too high, too fast. We're being too nice. And I'll talk about this a lot downstairs with Susan. The minute that they're full of shit, living in their false reality, I've got to be able to collide with them and bring them back to reality. Right? From fantasy to fact. Why? Because the longer I let it go, the more out of control it gets and the less ability I have to reel them back in. When you add emotions and the craziness of what's going on, I got to be able to have the guts and ability to collide with them when they're believing something that's not real. Now I do that, what? With all these other pieces. Why? So they know I'm very good at what I do. I'm the absolute best, right? And I have all this stuff in data. I use all these pieces here to help me execute here, which is where all the money's made. Right? The absolute best agents right now collide with them and tell them the truth and tell them what they need so they can make the right decisions. Last one here, which is important, somebody brought up a minute ago, which I think is very, very important, is I got to be willing to close. I got to ask for the close, I got to ask the questions to close, and I got to pre-frame in my trial closes. So it leads up to every single conversation I'm having, every single conversation from the presentation all the way to the closing table. I'm asking questions which are basically, if I could, would you? Right? If we get this done and get this done with X amount in a home inspection or whatever it is, are you guys okay with moving forward? Right? Trial close, locking down so they can't back up. I'm closing that door. Why? Because they need that. There's so much emotion involved. You let that in there, it's going to kill the facts and it's going to cost them in regards to what they do. You guys with me on this? Very important. And so I got to make sure I'm, number one, asking the right questions. Number two, I'm closing when it's uncomfortable. We talked about that. That feeling you get the butterflies is when you guys step up and take action the hardest.